The Trump administration has deported hundreds of immigrants to El Salvador and Honduras, possibly violating a judge's order to temporarily block the action. The administration says it is expelling dangerous gang members from Venezuela and is justified in doing so after quietly invoking the Alien Enemies Act. That's a rarely used wartime declaration. Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George joins us now live from Capitol Hill. Joe, catch us up on what happened this weekend.
Well, for one, and you know, you and I chat on most Monday mornings, and it seems like we've entered a familiar rhythm where a consequential, controversial action is taken over the weekend or maybe late on a Friday by the Trump administration, and a federal district judge puts it on hold. You know, since January 20th, the showdown between the Trump administration and the court system and federal district judges, it's just been escalating and getting stronger, and this may be the strongest showdown, the biggest showdown yet between the Trump administration and the legal system. If you unplugged over the weekend, you missed a lot, so we'll catch you up as best we can in the next few moments. Late Friday, the president invoked something that very few American presidents have ever done, as Patrick just said. The 1798 law, the Aliens Enemies Act, last used during World War II. In fact, it was used during World War II to justify legally the internment of Japanese Americans. It's a highly controversial law. On Saturday, the expected lawsuit had its hearing, in which a federal district judge ordered any action related to using the 1798 law to be put on pause. In fact, the federal district judge did the extraordinary step, going a step further and saying that any planes that are currently in the air should be turned around and flown back to the United States. Well, that video that you've been seeing is on the screen is of planes not turning around. In fact, the video is coming from El Salvador's president, who captured and posted some of these images. So is this a defiance of the court order or not? Well, the Washington Post with a TikTok of really what happened on Saturday. On Saturday at 5 p.m., a little after 5 p.m. is when planes departed the United States. A little after 7 p.m. on Saturday is when the judge issued its order. And this is where it gets tricky. There's two sides of this. With these planes landing, did the Trump administration violate a judge's order, or did they not? Now, Karoline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said this morning, and we can pull up her tweet, that the administration did not refuse to comply with the court order. The order, which had no lawful basis, Ms. Leavitt writes, was issued after terrorist TDA aliens, that's the Venezuelan gang and that this law was applied to, had already been removed from U.S. territory. So the White House is arguing that because the planes were in international waters outside the U.S., the federal judge did not have jurisdiction. The written order and the administration's actions do not conflict. Moreover, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly made clear, federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs. Just a portion of what the White House press secretary said today on this. Again, two sides of this issue. You have others saying this is an escalation, a clear defiance of a directive from a federal district judge. President Trump was asked about this entire controversy on Air Force One last night en route back from Florida to Washington. Take a listen to what the president had to say.
I can tell you this, these were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres. That was a bad group. When you look at them and you look at the crimes that they've committed, you take a look. You don't get any tougher, you don't get worse than that. You understand that. So. But you'd have to ask the lawyers, yeah.
You have to ask the lawyers there. You have to ask the lawyers there. The president responding to a question as to whether or not they defined the order or where it stood. The president didn't directly answer that, instructing journalists aboard Air Force One to ask White House lawyers. So a little bit of both sides on this issue, but Patrick, no doubt one of the biggest showdowns between the Trump administration and the courts to date.